Welcome to Trucks, the show where it is okay to get dirty. Matter of fact, we've raised it to an art form. Now, one question that I get a lot is, what is a good project to get into? Something that you can do on a budget, that won't take forever, and that you can drive every day and enjoy. Not necessarily a full-blown show truck, just something really cool. Well, in the world of trucks, you've got a lot of choices. Anything from the late 70s all the way up to the early 90s, because they're relatively cheap, they're all over out there, and the aftermarket is full of parts to make them really cool. So, doing a body makeover on one is pretty simple, and that is what we're going to show you today. What we've got here is a 1983 El Camino that's actually in really good shape. Very little rust, very little damage. It's just a little tired. Now, most of these late model El Caminos came fully loaded with power steering and power brakes and power door locks and air conditioning, which means you don't have to put it on. That keeps the cost of the project down and also gives you a reliable vehicle that you can drive every day. That's two of the criteria that we talked about. Now, you can pick up one of these things from anywhere from $1,500 all the way up to around $3,500, depending on the shape of the vehicle and, of course, your bargaining ability. The body style of these particular El Caminos is very cool, and they're a little rare, so you're not going to see them just anywhere, and that is good. That gives you something that's a little bit unique. However, there are some things about these trucks, stylistically, that kind of looks like something that your grandmother would drive, and that is not good. So today we're going to turn this into an SS El Camino and let it start to become the hot rod that it needs to be. The first thing we're going to do is deal with that front end and that grill. And for that, we went to the legendary Honest Charlie Speed Shop and got one of their one-piece SS El Camino noses. Now, this thing looks just like the original SS El Camino nose, but there is a big difference. This is made out of strong fiberglass. The originals were urethane plastic, and they got soft out in the sun, warped all up, and looked terrible in a couple years. These will hold their shape. Now, all the mounting flanges are built right into the molding, and this nose is completely assembled with headlights, turn signals, the spoiler, even the grille. Now, this nose does not go over the top of the old original front end. This completely replaces it. We'll get started by breaking out the penetrating lube, unbolting the bumper, and setting that aside to be modified. Then we'll come in here to these aluminum mounting plates and get those. Now, we'll also need to take off all this plastic and this spoiler. Now, make sure that you're organizing all your hardware, because you're going to have to reuse some of it. Pull off the headlight trim. Then remove the outer headlight and the lower marker lights. Finally, just unbolt the old nose and get rid of it. Okay, to put on that new nose, this tab here has got to come off so the front nose will sit back flush against this fender. So, we're going to break out the Sawzall and say goodbye to that. Next up are these factory aluminum bumper mounting brackets. Now, these need a 2-inch hole punched in them right here so you can run wiring through them. Now, a few minutes with a hole saw is all it takes to take care of that. The original bumper will be reinstalled because without it, well, we're not going to have any crash protection. Now, the bumper will bolt on, and then the nose will go over the top of that, and it'll sit behind the nose. Unfortunately, the bumper is going to be too wide to fit inside the nose, so we're going to have to cut it down. And also, we're going to have a problem with these lower turn signal lights. So, we're going to have to modify the bumper. And this is how to do it. The first step is to whack 4 inches off of each end. Now I'm using a plasma cutter, but a torch or a sawzall or even a jigsaw will do it too, just a little slower. Then we'll cut slots in each side according to Honest Charlie's measurements. And finally, put the mounting plates back on the bumper and then loosely put the bumper back on the vehicle so you can adjust it later on. The last thing that we're going to take off is this trim that goes around the wheels because it's going to be in the way of the nose here. And also, we're eventually going to shave all of the trim off this vehicle, give it a nice, smooth, clean look. Now, if you do this, shave all the trim off your rig, make sure that you don't just throw it away because this stuff is like gold to a restorer. So take it to a swap meet. Put some money back in your pocket. Now we're ready for this SS nose. And all you do is just set it in place, line it up here with the top of the fenders, and clamp it on. Now, you'll notice that I have the headlights and the grill out. That is because they got some mounting holes that we have to mark in here. You can't do that with the headlights in. With the nose back off, drill out the mounting holes. Now just bolt on the nose using the supplied hardware. And make sure that you're spending some time aligning and fitting this thing because nothing looks worse than a bunch of gaps or overhangs. And don't think for a second that you're going to take any fiberglass part and just bolt it on and it'll be perfect. It doesn't work that way. Be prepared to spend some time with a file working some of these edges and seams to make them perfect. That is just the nature of fiberglass. Also, when you bolt this down, make sure you don't over tighten the bolts or you can crack the glass. Now once it's all on, go ahead and hook up your headlights. And that takes care of the nose. What do you think? That's quite a difference, isn't it? Now this hood is ticking me off because you don't put on a nose like this and leave an old nasty rusty hood. We're going to deal with that after the break. Welcome back to Trucks. We are in the process of showing you just how big of a difference a facelift can make. Not the Hollywood kind, the trucks kind. Now, what we're doing is an 83 El Camino, turning it into an SS, getting rid of the old stock look. Now, we've already got the SS style nose on here. It's looking good, fitting right. Now, it is time to move on to the hood. Now, for that, we went back to Honest Charlie's Speed Shop. Got one of these Goodmark all steel cowl induction hoods. Now not only is this all steel, but it looks like something that you would have gotten from the factory. You got all this original style bracing, got your opening for your air cleaner, heck, it's all there. Now to put this thing on, all you do is take the spring and the latch off of your original hood, bolt it on in the stock location, then bolt the hood to the original hinges, spend a little bit of time getting it all lined up, and close the hood down. Look at this. All your creases, all your body lines are exactly where they need to be. You've got a 2-inch tall cowl induction scoop going down the center, and this is functional. Now, as cool as this is, the best thing about a Goodmark hood is the way it fits. Check out these seams and these lines. That is awesome. Now we gotta have something cool running down the side of the truck. We're doing a makeover, so we went back to Honest Charlie's and got yet another accessory that they call the ground effects style side exhaust system. Now this is for the El Camino, but you can also get them for S10s and other trucks. Now the piece is a big tapered piece of fiberglass, runs down the side of the truck, then you've got this opening here in the back. Now what goes in there? Well, check this out. Big rectangular stainless steel tip tucks in there for a slick side exhaust system. To mount the shields, clamp them in place, then come up underneath with the drill through the shield into the rocker. Now, you want to make sure that these things are sitting level. You don't want them to tip down because, well, that'll look kind of dorky. Now, once you have your holes drilled, take the supplied hardware and bolt them on. Now we are ready for the tip. Now the first thing that you need to do if you're going to make these functional, and you are going to make these functional, is make sure they fit the opening. Now you're going to want a good 1/4 inch of clearance all the way around the tip. This will make sure that the fiberglass doesn't get too hot and warp on you. Now don't be surprised if you need to come in with your trusty file and make a little more clearance. Once that's done, take the brackets that come with the kit, mount them to the pinch weld. Then we are ready for the tip. Now don't be surprised if you need to do a little bending and fitting here to make this tip just right. Remember, the more time you spend here, the better this is going to look. You don't want to just hack this together. Right there. That looks good. Well, that finishes up the installation of our ground effects with the side exhaust dumps. The only thing we have left to do is run the exhaust down to this tip and we will be in business. Simple, easy, and it looks great, especially if you slam this thing down on the ground. Now, I'm not done yet. Still have a lot more to do if I'm going to finish up this truck today. And I'm already on my second dirty shirt. So take a break, get something to drink, and I'll see you back here.
Just can't get enough of trucks? Check us out online at truckstv.com.
Welcome back to Trucks. We are coming down the final stretch of this El Camino buildup. And what we're doing here is showing you just how much you can change the look and the attitude of your truck just by bolting on some aftermarket parts. Now, we've already put on an SS nose, cowl induction hood, got some side pipes down along the side. Now we come to two of the most popular upgrades that you can do to a truck, a tonneau cover and a rear roll pan. The stock El Camino bumper is not bad. It's actually got the taillights already mounted down into it, which means you don't have to come up into here, remove a taillight, weld in a filler panel, and finish that off. These trucks already come from the factory this way. But this, they had the right idea here. This can just be a little smoother and a little cleaner, and a roll pan's going to do that for us. So what we're going to do is pull out these taillights, take off this bumper, remove this plastic, everything. Follow that with the tailgate. Then we'll flatten this pinch weld so the new roll pan will lay flat. Okay, now it's time to take a look at this new roll pan. Now once again, we went to Honest Charlie's, got this nice thick fiberglass piece that's got the taillights molded right into it. Now I know you're thinking, that looks just like the bumper. No, this is much better. The bumper sat out here. This tucks the taillights right underneath the tailgate. Very smooth. Now, to mount this, just set it in place, then just check your seams. Now, if you need to do any tweaking or fitting, now is the time to do it. Now, once you have it fitting exactly how you want, take the supplied hardware and just bolt it here along the top. You still need a little bit of adjustment here. Follow that with the taillights. Put on the tailgate, and that takes care of the roll pan. Now that is how the back of an El Camino should look. Okay, I know we're running out of time, but I'm down to my last part, and that is the tonneau cover, because we don't want a bed full of water every time it rains. That eventually turns into a bed full of rust. So, for the tonneau cover, we went to, yeah, you guessed it, Honest Charlie's, and got a fiberglass tonneau cover specifically for the El Camino. Now, as far as tonneau covers go, this is one of the easiest to put in that I've seen. All of your hinges are already installed, as well as your gas struts, and you've got a nice thick piece of weather stripping that runs all the way around this thing. And you also have locks already installed, so you can lock this thing, people won't get in, steal your stuff. Now obviously this is the bottom part, but the top is all finished, smooth and slick as a baby's butt. I'm going to show you that as soon as I get this thing installed. As you can see, a few body modifications can literally give you a totally different truck. And you don't have to have an El Camino to do this. Like I said before, just about any truck can benefit from some body mods. So what are you waiting for? Get out there, work on your truck. Well, you know, wait till after the show. Welcome back. There is no doubt that street performance trucks are popular. Whether you build it yourself or you buy it from the factory that way, everybody wants to squeeze the most power that they can out of their truck. And the manufacturers have been jumping into this game too. And one truck that consistently stays at the top is the Ford SVT Lightning. But why? What makes it so special? Well, we're going to take you on a ride and show you. Whoa! The Lightning remains virtually unchanged for 2003, and that's okay, because why mess with success? Make no mistake, this is a factory muscle truck, pure and simple. What does that mean? Well, for the truck part, it has the ability to comfortably carry an 800-pound payload in the bed, and the hitch is not fake. This thing will pull a 5,000-pound trailer without even breathing hard. For the muscle part, you've got a 5.4 Triton V8 with an Eaton supercharger ramming 8 pounds of boost down its throat, while a water-to-air intercooler removes excess heat and adds even more power. This adds up to 380 horsepower and 450 foot-pounds of torque. A special 4-speed automatic tranny channels that power to 373 gears in a limited slip rear end, ensuring that you leave 2 cool black marks instead of just one dorky one. Of course, all that power is no good if you can't handle it. But the Lightning can. It's got a quick ratio steering box, along with SVT's special springs, gas shocks, and stabilizer bars in front and the rear. This not only lowers the truck, but makes it extremely agile in turns with very little body roll. Rounding out the package are special Goodyear tires for gripping the road, so you can flog this thing like a sports car. But you still have some sidewall strength if you need to do some towing. Obviously, braking is important, and the Lightning shines there too with 4-wheel discs with ABS to stop this thing in a hurry. However, the awesome drivetrain and suspension aren't just for the drag strip or a twisty road course. The Lightning will also hit a blistering 142 miles an hour if you like running fast and, of course, you have a place to do it legally. Inside the truck, the seats have enhanced side bolsters to help keep you in the seat during hard cornering, and just in case you forget that you're in a Lightning, special SVT white face gauges will remind you when you look down. Of course, the Lightning does have some weaknesses. It can be a little expensive, both in the $33,000 purchase price and in the area of tire wear and fuel consumption, if you really drive this thing. But if you want a factory hot rod that will run with the big boys, and it has to be a truck, your first stop should be a Ford dealership to check out the SVT Lightning. One thing that never ceases to amaze me is how a person can spend thousands of dollars on their engine or suspension in their street or off-road truck, and then they put the stock seat belts back in. Guys, a modified rig needs a modified restraint system. And if you want to use what the pros use, you need to look no further than Crow Enterprises. And these guys have everything from a 2-point harness all the way up to a serious 5-point harness. They've got a quick release, so you can get out of there in a hurry if things go bad on you. Now you can get these harnesses in the 2-inch wide belt or the stronger 3-inch wide belt, and obviously you've got a choice of colors. You've got purple and black, but you also have red and blue. So if it's important that you stay in your seat, you need to quit goofing around and get you some Crow belts. Since today's truck gears are about safety, what about your hands? Well, a mechanic-style glove is great. Obviously, I use these all the time. But they do have a serious drawback. You can't feel intricate parts through the fingertips. This is pretty important when you're trying to thread a blind bolt up underneath a manifold or something. Well, Ringers has a new glove called the CT glove, and it not only has the fingers cut out for unrestricted feel, but it also has special pads in the palm with an opening right here for where the nerves come through the carpal tunnel into the hand. Now this takes the stress of impacts or air tools, keeps them off of the nerves, and that can help prevent carpal tunnel syndrome. They look cool too. Yet another glove option from Ringers that you need to have in your toolbox. That's going to do it for today. We'll see you next week.